Hey everyone, have I here been a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, we're going to be discussing the new Super Dragon Ball Hero banner units that are going to be dropping on both Global and JP, and look at the details to see if they are any good. Give you guys my opinion. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. And of course, all this information dropped last night. I went to sleep early, so I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and make the video now. And it's interesting to see what the details on these units are going to look like. Now, the banner will be dropping on 11/21 at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Again, we don't have to worry about daylight savings anymore, so it is just going to be standard 10 o'clock. Don't have to move an hour or lose an hour kind of scenario. And we should also get the data download happening later on tonight as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive into these units, starting with the one that seems like it's the best out of the best, and that is the Super AGL, Super Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Vegito Xeno. Yes, that is the name of this. I'm just going to call it Limit Breaker Vegito. And it is seemingly a pretty awesome unit. So let's go ahead and dive into the details here. First, starting with the leader skill. It is Dragon Ball Heroes, grade 8 power, and then fuse fighters as 170%, keep us 170% across the board. The only issue I have with this is I wish they added more than just crossover for the 200%. So it is only the 200% if they are on the crossover category on there. Would have been nice to see something additional to that to make it a little bit more flexible, but ultimately you can design a pretty good team, a Super Dragon Ball Heroes team, to do probably a lot of events. We'll see though, we'll see. So the passive skill here, the sword that cuts through darkness, it's pretty long. All these are actually pretty long. So this activates entrance animation upon the character entry once only, and the chance of performing critical hit 30% and damage reduction by 30% for 6 turns from the start of the entry turn. So so that's nice that they just made it at the entry turn versus just after 6 turns or things of that nature. So 6 turns is really nice here, and getting damage reduction, that's what we're looking for, but crit 30% is really nice on top of that. Now you're looking at key +3, attack and defense 200%. This is going to be maybe the new meta now, where we're going to see more and more units just say, hey, we're just going to boost you 200% with the current difficulties in the end game. Now, plus an additional attack and defense 150% when performing a super attack, plus an additional 100% to attack and defense, and a great chance of launching an additional attack, additional super attack, not additional attack, but great chance of launching additional super attack when there is another grade 8 power, or, which is great here, or crossover category ally attacking in the same turn. So you could run some units that are not technically crossover, getting 170%, but still in grade 8 power, and still get this additional 100% with a 70% chance of doing another super attack, which would be very huge. Then over here, you're going to have a chance of performing a critical hit 40% and reduction of another 30% of damage reduction when all allies attacking the same turn is grade 8 power or crossover. Again, a little bit of flexibility there. So you're going to get 60% damage reduction for at least 6 turns there, and then you'll have a really nice overall, just kind of straight up solid build here for the Limit Breaker Vegito. And when you look at then the super attack here, the super attack is raises attack, no defensive boost, but raises attack and causes immense damage to the enemy. And then you do have an active skill here, which is the Galactic Eternal Sword, can be activated when all allies attacking the same turn are crossover category from the 3rd turn. So you can actually activate this really easily if you're running mostly crossover units, and then or starting from the 6th turn from the start of the battle. So again, it has 2 different options on here, just in case you're not running a bunch of crossover characters. So again, a little bit of flexibility there. And then the effect here is greatly raises attack temporarily and causes ultimate damage to the enemy, and then within the turn all attacks become critical hits. So this is huge if you're able to actually do this prior to like the 6th turn, because then your 60% damage mitigation is gone. But if you're in the 1st position, basically everybody is doing crits. That's what I'm hearing, is all attacks, so even your other allies as well, not just yours. So that's pretty strong there. Now you're on a ton of categories, which is really nice, again with that flexibility there. Dragon Ball Heroes, Dragon 8 Power, Fuse Fighter, Crossover, Potara, Full Power, etc., etc. You guys can see this on here. Battle Wits, Defender of Justice, time limit, accelerated battle, power beyond Super Saiyan. Now the links are actually pretty good as well. You have Super Saiyan, Shocking Speed, Prepare for Battle, Power Beat Slow by God, Fuse Fighter, Saiyan Roar, okay, and then Fierce Battle. So all in all, very solid. I think this is the premier unit of the celebration. We'll see what the EZAs look like. That's going to be very interesting. That information should be dropping as well. Hopefully they don't tease us and wait like another week before the EZAs drop. But I'm wondering what the Super Saiyan 4 Vegito EZA is going to look like, because that will go very well with this unit as a support unit. So we will see what that looks like. But this is, again, the unit that you want to pull. Just reminding you that this banner here is a blue coin banner with guaranteed featured, by the way. So anyway, should have 10 units on there as a guaranteed featured on the banner. But all in all, I think it's very, very solid and a useful unit, not only in the crossover and Dragon Ball Heroes, but especially with grade 8 power. So let's go ahead and move on to the next unit here, the next hyped unit, and that is the Crimson Masked Saiyan Super Saiyan 3 Rosé, or what I call Time Breaker Rosé. That's what I'm going to call it, like Time Breaker Bardock, Time Breaker Rosé here, or you can even just call it Super Saiyan 3 Rosé. But again, this is very similar to the Vegito, where the leader skill here is Dragon Ball Heroes, which both is, but this has Super Saiyan 3. We rarely get a leader for Super Saiyan 3 these days, right? I think we only have 1 or 2, right? So that's 170 or above, and then transformation boost 170%, and then again, I wish they would have added one more for a 200% boost instead of a triple double would have been nice, with crossover being the 200% boost for 30%. This unit here is built a little differently, right? I think the Vegito is the damage mitigation is very, very strong, 60% here. This right here does have some defensive abilities, but more in line with guarding. Okay, so this here is key +3, attack and defense 180%. It's kind of weak that they didn't give this unit here 200% there, but that's extreme, right? It's physical extreme on this one, and high chance of guarding all attacks. So we don't really like units that have chances of guarding. It's kind of like dodging in a sense, but worse than dodging, because dodging you're not going to take any damage. Here, you might still take some damage even if you're guarding, right? So, oh, by the way, you also get an additional 150% when attacking. So that's very strong now. That's the reason why they maybe just put this at 180 instead of 200. Here's where it's going to be interesting if you run the correct team with Rosé, with Timebreaker Rosé here, and that is if you're at least running with 3 crossover category allies on the team. It has to be on the team, not on the same turn, just on the team here, makes this unit incredibly strong. That's because it does an additional 100% to defense and then guard against all attacks. So this is like a must-have. So anytime that you do have this Rosé on the team, you're going to have to look for 3 other crossover allies to be on that team as well. All right. Now, on top of that, you do launch additional attack. It has a great chance of becoming a super attack when there is a Goku enemy. So unless you're running this like on the Goku event, right? So this really doesn't matter, right, for in-game content. Now, you do transformation when transformations are met here. Let me see if we have that. Do we have that on here? Let me take this off. It's not on this page. I think it's on the other page here. But the super attack here, we do stack attack and then raises defense for 1 turn. And at least this is, again, immense damage to the enemy. So this is a stacking attack unit on here. So you do change. Do we have... Let me see if it has the transformation requirement. Give me 1 second. I can pull it up and read it. Because I think it's very simple. I think it's really simple. So give me 1 second here. It's, I think, on this page. Nope. Sorry for this. Give me a couple seconds here. Come on, where are you? Right here. Oh. So the transformation requirement is very simple. You transform after the 5th turn, or from the 5th turn from the start of the battle. So 5th turn, that's it. and you transform into Super Saiyan 3 Rosé here. And yeah, it depends on how you feel. I think this is still stronger because your ability to heal, and then you have guaranteed guarding even without certain units on the team. But here's the thing, you're going to have to run the crossover units on here anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So I'm not sure why they built it that way. By the way, you stop stacking attack and you do raise attack and defense for 1 turn and immense damage to enemies. So once you transform, you recover 40% once you transform, so you know that you're going to get boosted at the 5th turn if you're running this unit here. And then you're also onward, you're going to recover 15% at the start of the turn, which is really strong. Key +4, attack and defense 120%, so once you transform, you get to a 200 versus 180. So now you're beefed up, and then you still get the additional attack and defense 150% when attacking, raises attack and defense by another 150% with HP remaining the greater the stat boost. So this is where that implementation comes in, which is very strong there. And then you guard against all attacks. So this is what we like to see here. Very few units just have guard against all attacks, but once you have it, very strong. And then launches additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack if there is an enemy that includes Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which is more limited, and then launches additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack. So there you have it for this unit here. I think this is as strong as I think is less strong, but as like in the tier of the Vegito, of the Limit Breakers Vegito. I wish again they would have had a little bit more benefit to run this unit on other teams because of that crossover limitation. I would have liked to see like transformation boost or crossover 3 on one team. That would have made it a lot easier for you to have that guard activated at all times in the base form before you transform here. So you do have Brutal Beatdown, Super Saiyan, Godly Power, Prepare for Battle, Nightmare, Fear and Faith, and Fierce Battle. And then you have a decent amount of teams that's on Dragon Ball Heroes, Super Saiyan 3, Transformation Boost, Crossover, Realm of Gods, Time Travelers, Inhuman Deeds, Crota Body of Mind, Accelerated Battle, Powered Battle, Super Saiyans, Power Wishes, and Full Power. So I think 2 for 2 on here. I think they're both really good, and I think a lot of people are going to be summoning for these 2 primary units. Now, here's the thing that I wasn't a big fan of them doing on the rest of the units, because these were immense damage units, but these units down here, starting with the black and blue Vegeta, or Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegeta, Berserk controlled. I talked about like, what this transformation actually is within Super Dragon Ball Heroes. You want to check out that video, but these are in a sense the secondary units. And I wish they just had all these units as immense damage units and had maybe 170% leader skill versus 130. But this is what we get, right? This is what we get. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how this unit actually performs in game, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So across the leader skill doesn't matter. So you do have raises defense for 1 turn, disable enemy's guard, which is, when you look at like the unit of itself, it's like that's not even beneficial, and then causes supreme damage to enemy. This is the one that bothers me the most, because the rest of the units are supreme damage enemy, supreme damage units, and that immense damage is such a big boost, especially even when they EZA as well. So now here's the passive skill here. It's a attack and defense 180% versus 200, but key +3, 180%, medium chance of performing a critical hit. So I have that, plus an additional attack and defense 50% and chance of performing critical hit 10% per Dragon Ball Heroes category allies, excluding self, attacking in the same turn. So you can get up to 100% attack and defense, and then an additional 20% to crit if you are running in the same turn with 2 Dragon Ball Heroes category allies. So that's beneficial there. Then then plus an additional attack and defense 40% with each super attack performed up to 120. So there's a build up here. So you need 3 super attacks to max out. And then plus an additional 120% and a chance of performing a critical hit 50% when facing 1 enemy, this is kind of what you're going to be running. And then this random here of the 2 enemies launches additional super attack and has a high chance of evading enemies' attack. I wish the evasion was a part of this as well. So interesting enough, when you are beefed up, when you are maxed out, you're going to get 120 to attack if you're getting this here, 50% to crit with additional 20% if you're running with Super Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Heroes category allies in the same turn. and then you do 3 super attacks. So that's a lot of benefit. This generally should be critting most of the time. So if you're going to build this, I would definitely run on additional attack and then a lot of dodge to make this more relevant, because it doesn't really have super amount of defense. It will be interesting seeing how much defense this actually has here. This would have been interesting here if you had an attack and defense 120% on top of the 120 here, on top of the 100 here, and then on top of the 180. I want to see how that would have worked out. But ultimately, this is how the unit's been built, and I wish they would have done a little bit more to make this more relevant unit. Now, you do have link skill here as Saiyan Warrior Race, Prodigy, Super Saiyan Royal Lineage, Saiyan Pride, Prepare for Battle, and Fierce Battle, and then you have again a bunch of different categories here, which is good. This is what I like to see, is more categories on new units that we're going to be using. But in this case scenario, again, limitation here. Dragon Ball Heroes. You're losing up to 100% in attack and defense, and then up to 20% in crit if you aren't running Dragon Ball Hero units on the team that he is running on. So Black and Blue Vegeta, I think they could have did a little bit more here. Would have been interesting to add either a little bit more defense or like a dodge mechanic, but that's what we're getting for this Vegeta here. Now let's go ahead and look at the Limit Breaker Broly, or Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Broly. Again, 130% leader skill, but also supreme damage. I wouldn't have minded if all these were immense damage. I think that would have worked out fine. This is an interesting unit here because you do have a mini stacking ability with this Broly here. Raises defense for 4 turns, so a 30% boost for 4 turns, so you can kind of mini stack this. And this unit here is kind of just cut and dry, right? Ki +3, attack and defense 200%, plus an additional attack and defense 100% when attacking, launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming super attack, and then launches an additional super attack when facing 2 or more enemies. Not a big fan of that. And then launches an additional attack that has a high chance or great chance of becoming super attack when there's a fused fighter and category enemy. So a lot of limitation. It's a shame because I think a lot of people were interested in using this Broly in multitude of different ways, but with this kind of limitation here, with the facing 2 enemies and then a fused fighter, a category enemy, which I guess you can do like Murzumasu and stuff like that, but ultimately we're not going to see much of Broly on a lot of different teams. So you do have Brutal Beatdown, Saiyan Warrior Race, Super Saiyan, Prepare for Battle, Nightmare, Saiyan Roar, Fierce Battle, so you could run this on like Grade 8 team with the Limit Breaker Vegito. And you have Time Travelers, Pure Saiyans, Full Power, Dragon Ball Heroes, Grade 8 Power Crossover, and Power Beyond Super Saiyan. So I think so far this is kind of like the weaker one out of the 4 that I just went over. And again, that's a shame because this was a very interesting character that fought Cumber in the promotional anime. So let's go ahead and move on now to again another interesting unit here. This is more of a support unit in Dark King Fu, another 130%. This is the last of that bunch there before we talk about the Dokkan Awakenings to the Metal Cooler and the Janemba. But this unit here, you do raises defense for 1 turn and causes supreme damage to an enemy and then seals super attack. But then again, this is more of a unit that is focused on support, but with conditions. So again, more conditions here. Attack and defense 150%, attack and defense additional 150% when performing a super attack. So definitely not a 1 first spot unit, but then you have extreme class allies, no ki, attack and defense 30%, and then randomly changes ki spheres of a certain type from strength, or except for strength, to strength ki spheres. And then when there are 3 or more crossover category allies on the team, you get an additional 100% to attack with and then with 1, wait a minute. Oh, sorry. All this right here is with the crossover. So you need to have 3 or more to get the extreme class ally. The randomly changes ki spheres. So the ki spheres, you need to have the orb changing when you have 3 or more crossover categories on the team. You get an additional 100% if you just use a strength orb, which that's so stupid. So just give 100% there. And then chance of evading enemies attack, including super attack, 10% up to 50%. and extreme class allies key +5 plus an additional attack and defense 4% up to 20% per rainbow key sphere or strength key sphere obtained. So as long as you're picking up 5 orbs, you're in good shape. You'll max all this out. So there you go. Sorry for that cough there. This is going to be an interesting support unit. Again, this is an orb changing unit as well. But would have nice to see maybe up to 70% evasion. But I know this is like all 5 to max this out. But 50%, really don't like it as much. And this is also extreme strength. So this is more like a dodging type of unit that you want, because you're really not getting huge benefits from getting additional attacks except for maybe raising defense. So no crit here. You don't need anything for crit. You're doing dodge, defense mechanics for this unit here. But it is at least a support unit. But, you know, when they EZA thickness, darkness, Toa, when that happens, or the Demigra, right, that's probably going to be a better overall support unit than this one. But we'll see, right? Because this, of course, does orb change. But that is the Dark King Fu. So I think right now Broly is the least usable, I would think, at this point in time. This at least is some sort of support unit. And again, that's a shame. Then Vegeta is like interesting to seeing all this boost up here. It's going to do a lot of damage with the attack here, but it's only at Supreme on here. But then the top 2 right now, of course, are going to be Vegito and Rosé. So now let's go ahead and deal with the final 2. And that's the Dokkan Awakenings to the Golden Metal Cooler and then the Janemba Black. So again, this started off as Supreme Class here. So it greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes more damage to enemy. So they did boost this up to 150% versus 130. So you do have the passive skill effect here as attack and defense 200% plus an additional 80% if HP is 50% or more. When performing a super attack, launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming an additional super attack, so 70% there. And then here's where it gets interesting. Reduces damage by 20%. So that's flat out, straight up. Key +1 up to 5, an additional attack 40% up to 200%, and additional damage reduction up to of 8% up to 40% per crossover category ally on the team. So again, more conditions, but in this case, if you are running a full crossover team, you are going to get 60% damage mitigation. So you can easily run this in a first position. You know, I would have liked to see like maybe, I don't know, what's another full power transformation boost or something on there instead of just crossover there. But that's pretty strong. That's really strong. So if you're going to run this on a crossover team, this is a first position unit where you can run confidently and do fairly well. So yeah. Overall, you have strongest clan in space, under generation, fusion, deficit, boost, shocking speed, cold judgment, shouting limit. Now here's the problem: it's not going to link well. It's not going to link well. It would have been nice to see some additional key more than the +5 here, but yeah, it's not going to link well at all. And then it's on about 8 categories here. So, but I think ultimately this is better than any of the sub units, Fu, Broly, and Vegeta, because this is usable in the first position. So now finally the Janemba Black here. I think this is the one that they did the worst on, because of basically one thing, and that's when facing 2 enemies or more. If they didn't do that, I think this would have been a much more usable unit. But this unit here is launches additional attack that has a great chance of becoming super attack. Great. When facing 2 or more enemies, and guard against all attacks for 5 turns from entry on there. So you do. So this is how I read it here is, and guard against all attacks, but do I have to face 2 or more enemies? Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm reading this wrong here. So you are guarding for 5 turns, and then what happens after that? And then great chance to perform a critical hit starting from the attack. Yeah, so after 5 turns, you're kind of messed up. Okay, so attack and defense 40% per crossover category ally. So you need to make sure you have as 5 or more, get max 200%. Plus initial attack 80% with each attack performed up to 240. Plus additional defense 60% with each attack received up to 180. That's not enough though. After 5 turns, still not enough. And then key plus 2, great chance of permanent critical attack. And with next attack in turn, performs received of the 5th attack in the battle. So they kind of did so much more. Guard against all attacks. That should just did. Guard against all attacks. Done. It's Janemba. He guards. He guards all the time. Why only for 5 turns? Why only for 5 turns? Right? It's Janemba. It's Janemba Black. Should be a higher end than just traditional Janemba. So that's just bothered by that. So causes supreme damage and raises attack defense, raises attack and defense by 30%, and then lowers attack and defense for 3 turns. So you can mini stack here. Will it be enough? I don't know. It might not be. So 180. You can mini stack here. 200. Yeah, 200. 180 and stacking. It's just not enough. It's not enough. Anyway, so I'm kind of disappointed. Mostly so the two I think disappointing ones are this one and this one. There's some utility in Fu because it's a support unit, but not much. Definitely usable here, right? First position unit on here, and then Super Saiyan 3 Broly with the guarding ability, and then damage reduction for Limit Breaker Vegito. That's kind of how you're looking at it. So these two are for sure the best ones. And then you have Metal Cooler. And then you probably say, I don't know, I'm going to go with Vegeta. Then maybe Fu and Janemba. And then I think Broly's on the bottom, unfortunately. So, yeah, they could have done so much more with Broly. It's a shame. It's a shame. So, anyway, let me know what you guys think. So that's how I ranked them. And will they be good? I think 3 of these units will be good. I think 3 of them are going to be usable. Then the other is going to be very, very highly conditional to what event that you're going to be running. Generally, probably not end game at all. But, for Super Battle Road, you probably crush a lot of people with Super Battle Road. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video here. If you are new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. We'll see you after the data download to find out really, really how good these units are going to be, and then will they fit into the best teams, because I'll do best teams after this shows up. So anyway, thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.